Austin. There has been so much energy around this event and our launch, and I just want to thank you for that. I'm Jan Ryan, and I'm a founder of Women at Austin, and on behalf of the entire steering committee that is here tonight, we really just want to welcome you. We're excited that this is a real unique approach, and we will go into this a little bit later in the meeting, but basically this is the debut of a new mission-driven community to help to really accelerate women entrepreneurs in Austin. And we mean business. We've given ourselves a goal to really triple the number of women-led deals that are funded in the next 2 years. Somewhere we have our theme. The theme tonight is 2014 Be Bold. And I will have to tell you that our overarching vision here within the steering committee is no less than that. We want to make Austin the #1 city, the most accessible, supportive city for women entrepreneurs in America. And the interesting thing about this event is, and it's telling, is that it's sold out within 5 days. It basically, it has a long waiting list. We've got around 115 people in the room tonight. They told us that people would actually not come or take a certain percentage. Very few people didn't show up. I think we've hit a nerve. And what's interesting is that that tells us that when women, smart, focused women, decide to come around an issue, that good things happen. And I really believe this is the start of good things happening. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done. So tonight we've got we want to be very careful with the time tonight because we know everybody has kids and we're all women that are busy. So we will be out of here probably by 8 o'clock. But you're welcome to stay and do a little networking after that if you want to as well. I'm going to be facilitating this tonight, and I only have one rule for all of us. And that is that we leave our Superwoman capes at the door. Women in Austin are at their absolute best when they're real and authentic, and we can come together and really learn from each other, because that's what women really love to do anyway, and be inspired. So that's the only thing that I have for us tonight as a goal. Women at Austin was hatched actually last fall when 16 of the most experienced women in Austin that were entrepreneurs, and those that have had exits, and those that have actually struggled through to have success, we came together and we basically committed together that we wanted to do something about the women ratios in Austin. And when I talk about ratios, I'm talking about the number of women that are founders or co-founders or that are on C-level positions within an entrepreneurial company. If they're angels, anything in this ecosystem. What do we really need to do to make this vision be real? And I wanted to have the steering committee actually tonight to stand up. Some of them are already standing, just so that you can see who those women are. We basically did not want to just talk about female diversity yet again. We really want to be a part of the process. Three of our CEOs that you saw, Erica and Heather and Patti, will be up on the panel here in just a few short minutes. And we'll have our distinguished guest speaker, Bill Wood, also speak beforehand. But just a few words, just to kind of kick us off here. 51% of the population is female. That signals that there is a strong, untapped economic driver behind that. This is a business imperative as much as it is a woman's issue. In fact, in some ways, it is equally important that we both get involved. And I look back over the faces, and I see Josh Kerr, our single man who signed up for the event tonight. Talk about be bold. He's showing us how to be bold, and he's not even just trying to get a date. He really is. And Josh told me he signed up early on, just so we saw it come out. He said, "My God, that'd be great." And he's such a supporter of women, and didn't realize that not a whole lot of other men were going to be rushing to sign up. We love you, Josh, and thank you for being here. It is so cool to see men really want to be involved. I've had so many men want to be a part of this, and how can we help? And a lot of it has to do with not just the fact that they know that this needs to happen economically, but guys are having daughters, and they care that their daughters have an opportunity. So what does it really need to take? However, even though we can do all this rah, we still have the statistics that tell us that only 5 to 8% of women-led deals are the ones that get funding. Venture just doesn't go a lot to women yet. It's increasing. There are things that are changing. We also know there's a disparity in the number of CEOs and leaders. Probably everybody in this room, especially those that are in the tech industry, have had the experience of being at a leadership conference and being one of the only women in the room, or having seeing that there's no keynote speakers that are women, or that there are literally no panelists that are women. This is something that I truly do not believe is intentional, not in Austin, Texas. I think we need to change the narrative. We just need to have a lot more visibility. So there's 3 things that the steering committee came around. This is what I want to make a point tonight. 3 things we need to do in Austin to try to really begin to make this vision come true. One of them is mentoring and mentorship. We have to make more available mentors, role models. Women have not been doing this that long. Women are new to being entrepreneurs, so the numbers are just what they are. We don't have any good old boy network to reach out to get any to get advice and to be able to just get a sounding board. So those connections and some of that connective tissue is just not there. It can be placed there, and those connections can happen. But the mentoring issue is a big one here in Austin, and that the thing that I get passionate about is bringing the mentor in earlier. Women just tend to build their ideas in a silo, or sometimes they want to get it perfect before they show anybody. And if you look at what guys do, they're normally coming in, they're saying, "Jan, can we have coffee? I really want your eyes on this. I want you to see what you think," way earlier. Women need to have someone else's eyes on their deal, and lots of feedback earlier in the deal, so there's course corrections, and we can know whether or not they're on the right path to fundability. These are very correctable things. The second thing is visibility. We really need to make Austin aware that there's this many of us here, right? There are so many women with great ideas and that are bright and launching deals, and no one's ever heard of them. I just, in this last month in launching this initiative, I've been blown away by how many truly interesting deals that women are involved in. This is a watershed sort of year, I believe. So really being able to celebrate the growth of women, the ability to celebrate things that happen. This is a part of getting the press involved, and honestly, in some ways, it's a mental thing. We need to remember when someone does something to talk about it and to be able to change that mindset in Austin. The third thing is access to capital. And I'll tell you, capital, having raised now, I've been an entrepreneur, and I've been in the venture capital-based environment for over 20 years. And I've probably been a part of raising maybe 25 million or so. It is a relationship game. Investors invest in people that they know. It is what it is. And or people that come from a vetted, trusted network. So it's just about getting to know some of those things early and starting those connections before you need funding. It's really the wrong thing to do to come and say, I've got all this amazing stuff that's happening, and now I need funding. You really need to have some of that happen earlier. So those are the things. And in short, Women in Austin is for you. It's for you guys. It's for all of us. And we want to hear from you. What you can expect from Women in Austin right now as it is, this network or trusted network, I call it, is to lift all boats. You can expect right now once a quarter to have this kind of event. As we grow, we're going to want to also do some highly curated smaller events and let it be more peer-based. And we are listening and we want to hear from you. So the sticky notes on the back, you see it says, what do you need? We want to know, what do women entrepreneurs need? And we're dead serious about this. Please, before you go, write down what it is you truly need. And we're going to collate that and send it back out in some sort of survey monkey or something and really start to build a momentum and a rhythm around what we'll do next. Any questions? Does that all make sense? Awesome. So thank you for being here, for being bold. I think that we'll have our guest speaker now, and I want Laura Kilpriest to come up and introduce it. So it's fitting for Laura to introduce Bill because both of them have been in this ecosystem helping entrepreneurs for so long. We all love both of them. We know that Laura has made a career around entrepreneurs. She launched, as many of us know, she launched ATI and founded ATI 25 years ago. They just celebrated their 25th anniversary. And she also is a founding member of Triton. So Laura, I'll let you introduce Bill. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm not going to do the normal thing and introduce Bill by reading his bio. You can go and Google him and you'll see a lot of great things about him. I'm going to tell you a very short story. Bill actually was the very first person I ever met in Austin when I moved here. I hate to say this, Bill, at the tender age of 6 in 1984. I think you were about 6.5 at the time.
Yes.
So thank you.
You were CFO with that graphics?
Nova Graphics.
Nova Graphics.
Absolutely. See, he's got a great memory. But fast forward, after I'd run a company and done some other things, I actually decided we needed another venture capital firm in town, hence the founding of Triton. But I think what's more important is when I founded Triton, I went to a single VC for advice before it ever became public. No one knew I'd gone out and already raised 30 million for my first close, and I thought, who is the person I need to talk to who really understands the business and would give me a true and trusted answer? And that was Bill. I called Bill and I said, Bill, you got half an hour? And I went in, he didn't know what I wanted to talk about. I said, by the way, I want to be a VC. And he said, you sure? And I said, yeah, I think so. And then I told him where I was and what I'd done. And he sat there and thought, and he gave me some of the most judicious, thoughtful, insightful information that anyone could have given me to start Triton Ventures. I was so appreciative of that. And he kept that in confidence as I went forward and then finished raising the fund. For those of you who know me, you know I know a lot of people, a lot of smart people, and to only pick one to go to, that says a lot for those that know me. And those who don't know me, you'll learn when you listen to Bill why I went to him, and you will learn too what that's all about. Thanks so much, Bill Wood.
Well, thank you very much. When Jane asked me if I could do this, I really wanted to do it because it is something I actually feel very strongly about. I did say, hey, I've got a board dinner at 8 o'clock, but if you can fit me in, I'll definitely come. So I'm really, really happy to be here. I saw the agenda. I think we're all going to leave at the end of the night really feeling like there's so much more that you want to know and hear. So this is, I guess, going to be sort of an introduction, a tease. And so we'll all come back again in the future. But as I said before, I really care about this, and not only professionally but personally, it's something that's important to me. I think it's a huge opportunity for venture-backed companies. Women are underrepresented, and they add such a different dimension to a deal. And I've had women CEOs and women executives, and it is a different dimension, and it's a better solution at the end of the day because it's a different perspective. So I think you end up with better outcomes. And I know there are lots of lifestyle obstacles to women pursuing this, But I think those can be addressed and handled, and I think we're at a point in society where there's a lot of support and understanding for that. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited I'm here for the first meeting, and I'd love to stay involved as the organization goes forward. In terms of what I'm supposed to talk about, the topic was venture capital and then what does Silverton Partners do. I'm going to assume not a lot of familiarity with the fundraising process, but if you look at how startups raise money, the market is fairly segmented. And if you look at it, the sort of on the far left would be friends and family. And then right after that would be angels. And then right after that would be seed funds. Then early stage funds, then growth equity. And so every segment has its target in terms of what's appropriate. And it would be helpful for all of us to understand what's the appropriate target for you as you're raising money. You know, when you're really just with an idea, but you're excited about it, it's usually friends and family, right? And then when you've got an idea and you've got some meat on it, and maybe you've got a prototype product, maybe you've got some customers that are interested, it's usually angels, because they're willing to take a flyer. They're willing to take more risk than institutional VCs, okay? So angels would be the next step up in terms of capital. The step after that is us, and we are a classic seed stage, early stage firm. We're always the first institutional investor in our deals, but almost always they're angels when we invest. I can't even think of a deal we've done where there weren't angels there first. So that's where we are in the food chain. And therefore, we are looking for a little more validation in terms of the product market opportunity. If you meet with us, we're kind of metric driven these days. It's you know, business has gone from judgment and insight and wisdom to metric-based decision making. And that's just the way it works. And so in terms of your lead gen, your conversion, and your churn, it's all math. So when you come to people like us, we're going to be really curious about that math and to what extent you have any support, mathematical and data to support what's happening. We're going to be really, really interested in product market opportunity. But what would differentiate us from the seed guys is we're kind of looking for some validation in the numbers, okay? Then after that, you get traditional VCs to do your Series A, Series B. We also do Series A. So we're kind of a crossover. We do pure seed, and we usually do our Series A rounds for our deals, and we often do the Series B. After us, you kind of can skip to growth equity. So that's kind of where we are in the food chain and kind of what type of product market company fits us. The other thing to keep in mind is when you go from friends and family and angels to institutional VCs, expectations go up dramatically in terms of what the company needs to be worth on an exit. And you can't take that personally, because there are lots of great businesses out there that just don't make sense for institutional VCs. So, you know, don't have your feelings hurt. You know, if you don't raise institutional venture capital, that means you own more of the company. And if it's successful, good for you. But once you get into the institutional capital world, they're going to be looking for outcomes that are significant. And if you just want a number, $100 million in terms of what the company can be worth on an exit. So you have to be able to demonstrate that type of market size and market opportunity, and they got to believe it to get interested. So that's one thing you have to be really focused on is not only is this a really, really good business, but can it get to a scale that justifies institutional involvement? And most of the deals out there don't need institutional VC. And so I'm not saying that should be your target. People are very dilution sensitive, and they think, oh, I got to get a high valuation because I don't want to give that way much of the company. If you look at history, mathematically, the companies where the employees own the most is the companies that have raised the least. Okay? So if you want to own a lot of your company, don't raise a lot. On the other hand, if you've got an opportunity where really additional capital is going to make this pie 10 times bigger, if you can just invest in sales and marketing and product and development, then you do want to raise capital because you're going to make a much, much bigger pie. You're going to own less, but you're going to make a much bigger business. And in today's world, once you've got a formula that's working, the math works in terms of the business model, and it's just a matter of adding capital, which we just did at WP Engine with Heather. You need to do that. Because if you've got a model that works, and you can prove that it works, you do need to add capital. Because you're at the lowest risk phase of the company's development. It's execution at that point. And execution requires outstanding managers and outstanding leaders, but that's something you can control. So you do want to do it if you've got a business model that you've proven and is scalable and can get to that size. In terms of Silverton itself, you've probably met some of us. I know I recognize more people here than I thought I would. But there are 3 partners, and we just added a 4th person last week. It's myself, Morgan Flager, and Kip McClanahan. I'm a 30-year VC. I've been doing VC for 30 years here at Austin. Kip's been a 30-year serial entrepreneur, so he's been on the other side. He's got all the positives and insights that come with that. Morgan is a West Coast VC. We heard him from the West Coast, and he brings a lot of West Coast perspective and connections and expectations. So we're kind of a very complementary team. If you work with us, those of you who work with us know you get all of us. We are all involved to some extent in every deal we're involved in. So we do work as a team. We run a concentrated portfolio so that we can manage it with 3 or 4 people. And we each of us help in ways we can help. We get involved at the seed stage. We typically put in, on average, it's usually less than $1 million. And we're trying to get somewhere. Usually on that amount of money, we have product, we have customers, we have metrics. And then that gives us the data to support maybe a $1 to $2 million Series A, say $2 million Series A, which allows the company to start to scale. And we will do all of that. And then, at that point, there's some companies that are going to grow like this, in which case we'll continue to finance them and drive to cash flow break even, and be a very nice outcome. There's some that'll go like this, and that's when we tend to bring in outside investors who will do a growth equity round. And growth equity rounds tend to be $10 to $15 million or so in size. But they only make sense when you are really, on a steep curve and can justify investing that much capital. Everything we do is in Austin. We do not invest outside of Austin. Practically speaking, everything's software these days. Our backgrounds are traditionally enterprise software, but in terms of what we're doing today, I'd say half of it's consumer internet. So our practice is probably 40% cloud-based enterprise, SaaS-based enterprise software, 40% consumer internet, and 20% all of it, something that doesn't fit in any neat category. Let's see, we have a $75 million fund we just finished investing. Myself and Harvard University are the two LPs in that fund, so I put my money where my mouth is. We just closed another $75 million fund a couple months ago, and it's myself, Harvard, and Washington University. So we've got a very small, concentrated LP base as well.
That's great.
Okay,
Awesome.
time is up.
Awesome. Thank you, one thing I want to add too, just great new news that came out just about a week ago. Silverton and Floodgate, both with Capital Factory, they announced that they were going to match the investments that Capital Factory is making in one company. So thank you for that. That's an awesome announcement as well. And thank you so much.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Okay, so let's move to the panel, and we'll get the three girls up.
Okay.
Awesome.
Were you going to sit down, Jan?
Oh, I can stand it.
Okay.
One thing, while y'all are getting seated, let me also go ahead and thank some people tonight, because it's without people coming alongside us, this really wouldn't be possible. And first of all, Capital Factory has just been terrific to give us this great facility. They've been so supportive. Nicole and her team have been awesome in helping with the setup. So we just really, really do appreciate their heart. I'm a mentor and an advisor with Capital Factory, so I can tell you firsthand how much they really do care about women. And we will see some awesome things in the future there. So thank you to Capital Factory. Also, thank you to some of our sponsors, Waheen Creative, Nicole Gann, I don't know where you are, but she there she is in the back. She created our logo and really came through for us. This is a very organic, we have no budgets, this is an organic organization, and she just truly came through with us. She has a heart for women and a heart for young companies. And then Higher Better and Higher State Technology and Good Seed Burger have this wonderful food. And well, actually, it was the wine, right? The wine, if I get this correctly. And then Good Seed Burger was chosen for the food. Who also, I think we can see you over at Whole Foods, from what I'm understanding. But we couldn't have wine. We couldn't have a party for women without the wine. So thank you for the wine. Okay, so let's start our panel. And I really love all three of these women. Just like the audience out here, it's a very diverse panel. Very, very different three young women. They also, though, have something very much in common. They are absolutely on the front line. They are all in it and doing it, and they're particularly around the topic of funding, which is kind of a theme we're doing tonight. They are in different stages of that. At any stage, an entrepreneur's going to have to think about capital. Even if, as Bill said, you're going to do some self-funding, it's going to be your credit card, there still is a big decision about capital. All three of these women have made the decision to go outside for that capital. So we're going to hear from them on their experiences. But let me ask just quickly, 2 minutes each, just to tell the group who you are and kind of position your company, if you would. Do you all have mics here? Just turn this on.
Oh, thank you. Do you have one? Okay, great.
So it's a little bit like the dating game.
Is this on?
You're hot.
You're hot.
It is really so inspiring to look out and see all these gorgeous, fabulous women in the room. I've never been in Capital Factory with so many women. My name's Patti Rogers, and I am founder and CEO of a company called Rallyhood. And Rallyhood is a community collaboration platform for social good. So the big idea is that we're blending the best of social tools with the best of productivity tools to empower the groups and causes that we actually care about most. I'm a 20-year design and marketing entrepreneur, but I started the company really out of my own personal experience going through cancer. And I saw firsthand the power and the life-changing energy that can happen when a community comes together in action. But I also witnessed the frustration and the inefficiency of trying to manage a group and coordinate activities when the tools are inadequate. So it's interesting because when you kind of look at our life and how we actually move through our lives, we actually come together with groups with purpose, and whether that be a group like this, a committee, a team, a sorority, a club, a committee, a board, a nonprofit, a school, and all of those groups actually, because there's purpose, they require so much more than social. They require productivity. And we haven't had that in one place before. You know, not only do we have to come together and be social, we have to share a calendar and files and coordinate volunteer tasks and post photos and video and related links and collect money. And we haven't had a solution for that. Facebook is wildly noisy. Email is overwhelming, especially when we are in the middle of the reply all soup. So dates get lost, files, attachments are difficult to find. And so we find ourselves running, I'm sure you feel this way, all over the internet to try to find the information that we need. And so Rallyhood is putting all that together in one place. So we see that in, is that 2 minutes?
That's 2 minutes.
Ding dong. One more thing. So what we see is that, in enterprise, cloud collaboration is transforming how people work together in business. And Rallyhood is about using cloud collaboration to transform how people work together and accomplish things in their everyday life. So thanks for.
Oh yeah, you're good. You're good. Awesome. Hi everyone. My name is Heather Brunner, and I just wanted to share with you guys kind of a funny thing about this building. Every time I come here, it brings back really incredible memories for me because in January 4th of 1994, I was a newly minted manager with Anderson Consulting, and I had my little bags packed, and I came here for an assignment to come here and work with Child Protective Services and Adult Protective Services with Accenture, or Anderson Consulting at the time. And we were office here in the 9th floor. So it was like basically almost 20 years later that I came back here to be part of join WP Engine here at the Capitol Factory. And again, every time I come to this building, every time I go up this elevator, it just brings back those memories of so many things that have happened to me over this 20-year journey in Austin. And to be sitting here in front of you is just such a privilege and an honor. And I'm so excited about everything that's going on in this Austin community, what's happening for entrepreneurs, what's happening for technology, what the city is getting on the map, and having just gone through a funding process and going and visiting all the major VCs, I can tell you that everyone's watching us. And so it's up to us to kind of really rise to that occasion and bring the leadership that I know that's here in Austin and really continue to put Austin on the map. And let's build some incredible companies that really define and build jobs that can and build wealth, that can build the next generation of entrepreneurs and the next generation of educational opportunities, all kinds of things for our community. So I just couldn't be more excited to be here. So just real quickly, I'm the CEO of WP Engine. 20% of the web today is powered by an open source technology called WordPress. So, and WordPress as an open source technology, its vision and mission is to democratize publishing and content and allow everyday people to get their voice and their business online. And we have the privilege of serving over basically almost 16,000, just a little under 16,000 customers and just under 200,000 different websites on the WP Engine service and platform. So we are a platform for providing services and managing WordPress sites. And we service everyone from individuals, so we have a B2C element to our business, and also businesses of all sizes, everyone from small independent insurance agents and restaurateurs, all the way up to large companies like Google Ventures, Allstate, Wells Fargo. So it's a very, very diverse business and very interesting business. And we're growing. This is a business that's literally in hyper growth. The company has, in its 3.5-year history, has been growing 25% revenue quarter over quarter since inception, and we've had acceleration of that growth to greater than 30% in the last 9 months. So this is a really special company, really exciting company, and a real, hopefully we're going to work really hard to make it a really big win for Austin and its community. There's also an incubated company out of the Capital Factory.
Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Erica. I really appreciate you all coming out tonight. When I helped Jan set up this event, I wasn't sure if we would even get 50 people in the room. I'm really amazed at all of the women who come out, so thank you all for being here. I'm Erica Douglas. My company is called MarketVibe. How many of you have a blog that you currently have as part of your company's website right now? Most of you, right? Okay, so you have that little subscribe and receive new posts thing on the sidebar, right? And it's kind of generic and impersonal, and you really don't get that many signups, and you're probably not promoting your product very well. That's what my company's here to solve. So we help you make sign-up forms for your product that go on your blog with no coding required, and that's what MarketVibe does. I noticed that problem when I had my own blog. I grew it to 1.8 million readers, but I only had about 19,000 people on my email list. And I thought, how can I get more people on my email list? Can I sell more products? And I found that the stuff that was out there was really disappointing. In fact, if you try to run a webinar and you want to put your webinar sign up on your blog, which would be an obvious thing, right? If you're running a webinar next week, you'd like people to attend and learn more about your product. It requires coding. It requires integration with GoToWebinar's API. And I said, that's not okay. We want to make it as easy to put sign-up forms on your website as it is to write blog posts. And we're selling to marketers. We're working with Automatic, the founders of WordPress. We're working with companies like Engine Yard that need more leads, sales, and conversion from their blog and their website into their product. And that's what we do at MarketVibe.
Awesome. I always say that launching a company is actually the hardest thing you'll ever love. There are days where it's euphoric, and then there are days that are really hard. And I know all of you that have gone through that journey know what I'm talking about. But the thing that holds us in all of us in a common space is that every single day you have to do something you don't know how to do. Again, a list of unanswered questions about how to launch and navigate your company is ceaseless. So my first question is to the panel. I really want to know, what was your biggest surprise in launching your company or in stepping into the role that you're currently in?
Do I always have to go first?
You don't have to always.
I think that the reality is when you're starting something new, that every day is a surprise, right? And some days are really great surprises, and some days are not so great surprises, but all of them are super valuable. And so having tolerance for that and having that be a part of your sort of entrepreneurial DNA is super important. I think everybody here, I've had some great fun conversations about how hard it is, but I think it's harder than that. And you have to have relentless energy and relentless passion for what you're doing, and an infinite amount of energy to keep pushing forward. Mm-hmm. And even though it's so exciting to grow something from an idea to an infant product to see something that's out in the marketplace, and so much to be excited about that, but at the same time, you have so much more to go. So you just have to have a reservoir of just crazy energy. So.
Mm-hmm. Erica, we'll skip to you.
Yeah, sure. I think my biggest surprise was realizing how much design and user experience really matters. I have a strong technical background, and then I learned the marketing side of things. So when I started my company, the first person I hired was another technical person so that I could focus on the business side of things. But I really think to succeed, especially in the software industry, you need to have that third leg, which is design and user experience. And I've become passionate about design and user experience, especially over the past few months. I decided to take the month of December and do kind of a brave thing. I stopped doing the CEO thing for just a little while, and I spent 3 weeks delving deep into user experience and design principles and understanding how people interacted with my product. And I realized we have a long way to go. But having gained that deep knowledge and experience, I feel I'm better off for it. Now we're ready to go out and, as we raise our next round of funding, hire that third rock star person to complete the triangle of great people at our company. So that's a big one for me.
Yeah.
So for me, lots of different surprises. So for me, I was coming into a situation where the company was very successful. We had a founder who's a multi-time successful entrepreneur, Jason Cohen, who's actually one of the original founders of the Capital Factory. And so he had actually come up with this idea when he was here helping with the Capital Factory getting going and coming up with the idea for building a platform to better manage WordPress. Out of need on his own need in terms of his own blog as being a very successful followed entrepreneur and advisor to entrepreneurs. And so he had issues, and so he kind of came up with the idea around, wow, there's got to be a better way. And he invented, in essence, this platform that is WP Engine. And so one of the biggest surprises for me was, something I thought about is coming into a role where I would be initially, I had first joined the board of the company, and with not an expectation of joining the company, and then was asked to join the company and potentially come in immediately as CEO. And I basically said, I didn't think that would be a really good idea. I thought it'd be better for me to come in as whether it's president or COO or whatever the right role is, but come in and really learn and earn and learn the business. It's a new space for me. I'm not a domain expert in hosting. I wasn't a domain expert in large, B2C type scale businesses. I was not a domain expert in WordPress. And the real surprise for me was kind of being able to kind of let go and just say, you know what, I've got to come in here and just earn this, and then be able to really figure out how am I going to partner with this very successful founder, and this is his baby. And what I found is that we were able to, I was so fortunate that we were able to really establish a really strong relationship and trust very early, and from that really just accelerated really our mutual decision for me to take on the CEO role. And I joined the company in May and was CEO in October. So for me, it was just that whole thing around kind of like letting go, kind of taking a step back, being okay to be in the sidecar for a while, learn, earn, and just get that experience, and it just organically just happened in a really good way for him, and also in a really good way for me. And so I'm just love this opportunity. It's been such an incredible privilege.
Awesome, and so much success, even so short a time.
Thank you.
I know there's a lot of interest in the room around the whole funding process. Some people are indeed going through that right now. Others are thinking about it. What I think would be a really great question to have all of you answer is what you're learning about yourself. So let me ask you a two-part question. All three of you are at some stage in that process, and Heather, you're sort of over on the other side now, but I'm sure you're never done.
No, right.
But in the funding process, what's one thing that you learned about yourself personally, and what's one thing that you learned on the business side? Okay.
I'll go first. Okay, so the first thing I learned about myself personally is nobody cares about your $1 million exit, which is actually what Josh Fair said to me, and it caused me to burst into tears in front of people, which was very embarrassing. But it's true. He said, don't pitch that to investors. They feel like it's small, and I'm like, what? It's the biggest accomplishment of my life so far. So that was very demoralizing. But I got through it, and we managed to raise $640,000. We went through the TechStars Accelerator, which was a really great program, I might add. And so what was the other thing, one thing I learned professionally?
Well, not professionally as much as about the business. What did you learn about the business and the process of that you want to share about?
Oh yeah, and selling SEO software sucks. Don't do that. So you got a lot of like, don't do that kind of things. Actually, the other one I would throw out there is like, once you get one investor to say yes, you should hit like 50 more of them, because I think that was like the biggest mistake that we made. I dragged it out way too long. Once we got our first yes, which was from 500 startups, I had no deck. I had no presentation, but Paul Singh, who's a partner at 500, was a former customer at my last company. I dragged myself through the presentation. About 42 minutes into it, he finally said, "Are you making money with this company?" And I said, "Yes, we're growing our revenue by 17% month over month." He said, "All right, I'll put $50,000 in." And I was like, "What?" I almost fell off my chair. And so I learned pretty quickly that, okay, I need to have a deck. And I went through that learning process, and it took me so many months to get through that process. I kind of wish I would have gone through it a little bit faster. Fundraising is something that takes all of your time and energy, and we're about to go out and raise another round. So I can attest that, put aside a month or two and just focus on fundraising. Get that spreadsheet of 100 or 125 investors, active investors. Ask the question, when did you last invest in a company? When did you last write a check? Not another check to the same company you invested in 2 years ago, but a new check to a new company. Because if it's more than 12 months ago, I wouldn't even bother with those people. And I hate to say that, but it's true. You don't want to waste your time with people who aren't active investors. So I guess there was a lot of that in
Awesome.
one
Yeah.
paragraph.
Heather, how about you?
Yeah, so lots of lessons. What on a personal side, you have to get used to rejection. You're going to be pitched the story over and over and over again. And you have to have people say it's not for me, or no, or also the soft, like where they're like smiling at you and like, yeah, we'll be back in touch. You're like, okay, just tell me no. So it's like this, get real. And so you have, so you just have to kind of get used to that. And also, and I think the other thing I learned is, I needed to do a better job of turning the tables faster around asking the questions. So you're very much in the mode of, oh, I'm here representing the company, and I'm going to give you the dog and pony show and walk you through everything. But also vetting prior to having those conversations around who's on the other side. Exactly to what you're saying, Erica. How many deals have you done? How recently? And a big lesson that I learned, and I wish I would have learned it faster, is that and Jan mentioned it, that these, the venture game is a lot of relationships. So all these people who are excited about your business, oh, let me introduce you to so-and-so and so-and-so, and oh, I know so-and-so at this firm. And you get all these introductions, and you're just there like, in the speed dating mode. And I wish I would have not done that. I wish I would have basically taken time to stop and really look and see which of these firms actually had investments in our space. And no, because basically what we found out is that very quickly we'd have conversations, because our business was is very successful in having good things. Everyone loved the metrics, so they were in love with the story. But then it really didn't fit their investment thesis. And so really for them, in terms of, here we are basically a open source company, cloud computing, more infrastructure, but yet we have platform. So there's all these things. So we're like software, infrastructure, open source. And there's that basically, when you have that combination of things, it excludes a lot of VC firms very quickly, that we could have not wasted our time going and spending time and precious time and dollars had we not vetted their investment thesis early. So while it's very important to have the relationships, at the end of the day, that partner is tied to LPs that, like Bill talked about, LPs who are funding an investment thesis around certain companies. And we should have started with that end and worked our way back to then the relationships. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons I learned, and we would have saved so much time. On a personal side, again, like I talked about that, that rejection, just getting used to the fact that not everyone's going to love your story, or they may love it, but it may not be the right fit for them. That's okay. Move on and take the lessons from them, but also get feedback from them. What could I have done better? What could I have gotten more? What would have been more compelling to you? What were you looking for? What are your objections? Because that then helps you then to understand how you get ready for the next meeting. So those are just a couple thoughts there.
Everything that you say, I would absolutely agree with, especially on the personal side of just being okay with with a no. And it doesn't mean that it's not a good idea. It doesn't mean that it won't be successful. All it means is they're not the right fit. And so, yeah, busting out crying, it's something you have to manage. I think personally, I also learned how incredible it was to have a fantastic partner in my life. My husband, being a lifetime entrepreneur, was just a great personal resource for me. And he's not here tonight, but I wouldn't be where I am without him. And so I think having that worked out in your personal life, where you have somebody who knows how hard you're going to work, knows how much time it's going to take, and has your back on that, and is also a person who can talk through the good and the bad, and from the business side, but also with the sort of the heart for you. So that was super valuable. And if you don't have that in your life partner, then finding somebody in your just close-knit circle, I think that's a really important thing.
Let me ask a question that kind of follows on that in a lightning round. Just think quickly. It's so important to, as you said, Patti, have something that you can go home to, or something that is your balance. And it can be your value system, it can be an exercise. I'd be curious, what keeps you sane, what keeps you balanced, if that's the right word, especially when you're in these just, amazing periods where it's full out. And I know the funding process is like that. And maybe you just answered that, Patti.
No, well, I actually think that there's several other things. For me, it was yoga. And I'm so serious about that, like just having that space that you're constantly working on solving the business problem, and it needs to happen. Like that's happening constantly around the product for me and around the potential partner, and just the opportunity in general. And so for me, finding that space, yoga twice a week for me was important. And the other thing I think really critical is that making sure I was taking care of, and I have to work on this daily, but making sure I'm taking care of the people who really matter in my life, because at the end of the day, it is the relationships in our life that is the most important. And when you are so passionate about the business and doing something big, you have to work hard at that part too.
Absolutely.
Well, for me, I've been practicing yoga also since since 99. So for me, that is my absolute, do it every week, is just religion, at least once, if not twice. And that for me is, again, my time to basically just think and reflect and give gratitude for my family and really think about those things. So that's definitely keeps me sane, and it's so important to me. It's like I literally call it my church. That is with that sanctity that I go, and my family knows that's that time. And then also for me, it's just very important to have time, honor my commitments to my children. So when I make a commitment, I really try to take it very seriously, to be there and be present with them for that time. It's very important because they know that I love my job, and it's important for me to tell them about it and have them feel involved. So I would definitely encourage you, if you have kids, get your kids to come to your office with you, for them to meet the people, for them to see the folks that you work with, so they understand when you go somewhere, it's not some mystery. They know exactly where you are. They know exactly what your office looks like. They know exactly who the people are that you're working with. And it gives them a sense of comfort that when you're not there, that they know that you're doing something that you love in a place that you love.
That's great.
Brian, my fiance, is here. He's sitting right back there with the Brian hat on. So he's definitely a great help to me. He's extremely supportive of all the crazy stuff I do. I tell people a lot. I have 4 jobs. I have a co-working space, a startup, a blog, and an Airbnb room that we rent out. So it's a lot. I'm also a gamer. Brian puts up with my game junkie addiction and the fact that my friends and I are out all night, often playing video games. And I've been a gamer pretty much my whole life, but this is the first time I've really found my people, as I tell Brian. There's about 12 of us, and we're always out.
Which game?
Ingress. It's an Android game played on your phone, and it's a game played in real life, so you actually exercise. Last night I walked about 6 miles and played for 3 hours. It's a great game because it gets you outside, which is why I love it. And we have a huge group of resistance players here in Austin that I go out and play with.
I think we need to have a group yoga lesson next time. Okay, one last question, and thank you so much for just being so authentic. And I know that especially this audience, there are many that are early in their journey or going through some stage right now. But my last question is, if you had one piece of advice to give to someone to apply to their journey, or if you wish someone had given you that advice early on, what would that be?
I think for one piece of advice, I think there's lots of advice, but I think one important piece is to really know your story and to continue to refine it and craft it and repeat it and just make it better and better all the time, and then deliver it with clarity and confidence. Because whether you're solving the problem from a personal experience or from a really deep business insight, if you deliver it with passion, that is power. and you'll command a room. So I would say that. And I would also say that Steve Blank's Startup Manual is a have-to. So I would do that.
Two quick things. So I've had the opportunity through Capital Factory to start to work with people who are in the inception stage or starting really early, kind of what Bill talks about, that kind of trying to come up with that concept. And one of the things that I've really been encouraging people to do is whoever really know who your hero customer is. You might have lots of different customers, but pick one really hero customer that is really your audience you're going after, and find as many of those people who are that hero customer and talk to them as humanly possible. 50, 100, how many you can, and make sure that you really understand the psyche and the experience of what that hero customer is going through and apply that to your business. So I think a lot of times people haven't done that customer development and they're making spreadsheets and plans and estimates. I'm like, you haven't even talked to your customer. Talk to the customer first. That would be the first thing. Now I lost my other thing. I'll think about it. Okay, give me a second. Okay. All right, Eric.
I think one thing I've learned is not to opt out. And I think Sheryl Sandberg's book, Lean In, is fantastic about that. Whatever you've read about Lean In, if you haven't actually read the book, read it, because it's not what you think from reading the articles on the internet, which are weirdly negative about it. But I tended to opt myself out a lot when we were talking about investors making a spreadsheet. And, you tend to look at their past investments and go, oh, it looks like they invested in a competitor. Well, we did that with a VC firm, and it turns out that VC firm is the most interested in our company now. It turns out if they've invested in somebody you view as a competitor, they may not view it as a competitor because they have knowledge that you don't, or they are interested in that market. So we found, for instance, because my product works with people who blog, that VCs who blog are an obvious target fit. Whereas if I pitch it to VCs who have never blogged before and are still using Microsoft Exchange as their email server, won't mention any names here, but VC, then they're gonna just sit there and stare at you with this glazed look in their eyes because they don't understand what it means to blog and build an audience that way in our case. So don't opt yourself out. Go pitch to everyone, but realize too that the ones you're opting yourself out of may be the ones that are the most interesting and the most interested in you in the future. That's what I would say. In general, don't opt yourself out of stuff. Get more relationships, get more coaching, get more advice, ask for more lunches, talk to more people, like what you were saying. Talk to a lot of potential customers, talk to a lot of investors. You really can't talk to too many people who are in your target market or too many investors who are actively investing.
The other thing I was just going to mention, I just thought of it, is that the importance of having, like we talked about how yoga gives us kind of personal white space. Make sure that you're creating professional white space. So just with, again, in your calendar, wherever you can, finding time where you just basically block it. Book yourself solid. Don't make yourself, just going frenetic from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. Build in some white space in your calendar to just have loose time to where you can think. You can pull out a sheet of blank piece of paper out of the printer. I'm actually old school. I use paper still.
I do too.
Oh, you do? Okay, good. And many people in our company don't use pens and don't use paper. So, so basically, just whatever it is, draw, think, whatever whatever your thing. But have that time because it'll pay back dividends around being able to kind of unload some of the creative things or maybe things that you've been working on you didn't realize, and your subconscious will come forward if you give yourself that space. So again, giving yourself that time in your calendar, like a meeting that you would have with a customer or an investor or whoever, have that meeting with yourself.
I think that is amazing advice. Well, we are at the end of our program, and I just really want to thank our panel. As I was listening to all three of you talk, I just was, again, amazed at how much women learn from each other. And we need each other. We're here because of someone else. All of us would say that in the room. We do need each other. And meetups like this can be very productive, especially when you come in knowing that this is about connections, it's about giving and taking. It's a very much a process of cross-pollination, whether you're early or you're late in your journey. But we just have so enjoyed this. We enjoyed putting it together. We can't wait for the next time we're together. We truly believe we have an opportunity to leave a legacy in Austin. And so
I just want to interrupt you and thank Jan herself for
stay and do a little networking if you want to. After this, we'll just be kind of starting to set back up.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Melissa.